Maybe are we live? Cody, are we live?
You're live.
Oh. Well, the problem with having a host like Andy is
where are we looking?
we're right there at the
Right
green light.
at the green light?
Yeah.
Who's out there? Everybody say hi to everybody.
They're going to give us the comments.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting over here.
Listen, it's good to be back in here at Fan Cave Sports. By the way, it's been a little while.
It has. We
You
broke up
look
for a
good.
while. Not as good as you. You're sexy.
I'm like all your what's going on? You're moving. You got lots of stuff going on. Like you don't stop.
We don't stop. We don't. It's just not what we do.
And you got the same people working here.
We have to. You know what? We've had the same employees since I think we started.
Have you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, listen. Throughout the entire, because I was here every week up until I call it the NHL pause.
COVID pause.
The COVID pause.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what happened with Fan Cave and everything here, around you? Did you guys were you forced to close? And then when were you allowed to open back up and all that type of stuff?
So the mall closed, obviously, during that time, but it wasn't for very long, I don't feel. And then we opened back up, but even now we maintain very limited hours, 12 to 6.
But you always have something going on.
But our online store is where it's at.
Are you happy the Lakers won?
I am happy the Lakers won. I'm a California guy though.
I can't. I don't know why. I just can't handle LeBron James. I don't like when LeBron wins. I kind of wanted LeBron to lose, and I'm not a huge fan of LeBron James. But for some reason, I felt like you were a big diehard Lakers fan.
I love Kobe.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and I grew up in California, but I'm not a Dodgers fan.
Okay.
I was when I was a kid. When you're a kid.
Are you a Rams fan?
No.
Were you as a kid?
No, I didn't care. Raiders? No.
Really?
I mean, I like the Raiders, but I don't really.
Do you like football?
Yeah, but I only like the player. I only like Tom Brady.
He plays in Tampa Bay now.
And, he doesn't know what's
Why
worked out.
don't you like Brady?
I love Brady. I love Brady because he's unapologetic and he's the GOAT.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I like Brady. I mean, he's pretty damn good. What happened with the fourth down, though? Everyone was talking about it. So what, he held up something in his hand? Well, what happened?
It's not a really good thing to talk about.
Because I missed that. What happened?
He didn't know it was fourth down.
How could he not know?
Well, there's a lot of questions about that.
Don't the coaches tell you kind of in your ear, and if you're the quarterback, you have a thing in your ear?
I think so.
Okay,
right,
so here we are. Let's talk about, do we have a name for this?
Yeah, just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan and Andy, just saying.
And what's your vision for just saying?
We're just going to talk. This is an opportunity for us to engage with our audience.
Yeah.
Talk about things at Fan Cave. Talk about hot items. Obviously, I was reaching out to you about information.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of insight, so I rely on you. But you were completely wrong on every single thing.
Was I?
Yeah.
Not about Petro.
You were wrong about it.
I said he was signing. I said this is exactly what happened. I said he wanted a deal.
Did you listen to it today on 101? He was on the Rib Show today.
I did listen to a little bit, but doesn't matter. I've been talking to Petro.
Yeah.
I talked to Riz last night too, actually.
I felt like Petro was throwing you under the bus today.
He's trying to. No, I thought he was okay. He actually said, what he said to me was actually very similar to what I tweeted.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to come out and say that, I guess, publicly. But let me just tell you this. And it's not like we got to free agency and Pietrangelo then he figured out and realized it was unlikely he was going to get a deal done here in St. Louis. I think he knew that long before then. When you deal with a team and you know how they handle their business, how they negotiate deals, to expect them to all of a sudden change, it's pretty unrealistic for that to happen. So let me just say that. If you're an agent, you cannot negotiate with St. Louis the same way you would with Toronto or Vegas or the New York Rangers, who have deep pockets, they've got a surplus of cash, and they are known for handing out large signing bonus money. Pietrangelo from the beginning, and listen, I would never fault him for this. He's earned the right to go into free agency. He's earned the right to go out and get as much money as he wants. And it's not just about as much money as he wants, because the Blues actually offer more money because they had the luxury of being able to offer the extra year. But he has the right to go out and get a contract that he wants. And that's exactly what he got from Vegas. He was able to construct a contract the way he wanted, which is half the money, at least half the money, in signing bonus money. He got the no-move clause. And listen, Doug Armstrong, he and I had this conversation a year ago. And he said, I do not believe in it. I will never sign a player with signing bonus money included in it. Now, he's traded for players who have signing bonus money
But
in
he
their
said
contract.
in his media thing that he actually.
So that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So he actually broke his own rule in an effort to keep the player. Now, he gave, or at least offered, Petrangelo signing bonus money in 1 year of the contract, and that was the last year of the contract. So if you look at Petrangelo's deal, how much he's getting throughout the middle of the contract.
He gets like $50 million.
Yeah.
Bonuses, right?
Oh, well,
It's like 40-something million.
I don't think it's that high, but
It's pretty crazy.
It's north of 30. It's
like the first year he's making $1 million, but it's like $7 million in bonus.
I know. It's just over $30 million,
Yeah.
I think. Something like that total in signing bonus money. So he got the exact contract he wanted. Now,
Yeah.
Petrangelo, and we've had a lot of conversations, and it got to a point, and I said this on Toronto radio, I said this on Montreal radio, I can play it for you, going back 3 weeks ago, that the idea of becoming an unrestricted free agent, I think truly excited him. The Blues aren't shocked that it played out this way. They knew that it was going to play exactly the way that it did, that it was going to be hard for them to keep him because of their organizational philosophy versus what he wanted in the contract. I don't think they ever thought that they could deliver that. And I don't think Petrangelo's shocked that he's playing elsewhere. He had 5 teams.
Oh, I think he is shocked.
Oh, I don't think so. Not at all. I think
he really wanted to stay home.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. But I think he also understood the likelihood of that happening.
So do you think, okay, so when
probably wasn't very strong.
So what I take from all this is it came to a head at this point. I think Thursday night they met. This is by the way, I would never say nothing bad about this man. This man brought the Stanley Cup to my store. We were probably the only retail store that had the Stanley Cup in it. And it was because of that man.
Yeah.
I have nothing, I will never say anything.
Well, nobody should be upset with Alex.
No, of course not. I'm not upset with him.
He's earned the right.
He could do whatever he wants.
To become an unrestricted free agent. He's earned that right. Any player, based on service time, you get to a point in your career, you're eligible to become a UFA. Like, I would never hold it against a player, ever.
I mean, I always said that, like, Pujols made the right decision. I mean, he got 250 million reasons to leave.
Well, there you go.
It's like this. There's loyalty. There's no loyalty in a lot of things. It's like this business. It's like the business that we're in here, Fan Cave, for example, right? Certainly, I want people to come in here and shop with us.
Yeah.
But if they can find it cheaper somewhere else, they're going to go, right?
But see, I don't get emotionally attached to guys. Like, I've known players, obviously, for a long time, been covering the league for 20 years now. Guys come and go. Guys that you have a really good relationships with, guys like David Backes, guys like Chris Pronger before that, Brad Boyes. I can go on and on and on. Jamal Mayers, Bryce, all these guys, they come and go. Eric Johnson, man, Kevin Shattenkirk. Guys come here, you get to know them, and they leave.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because it's in the best interest of their own career, either as a player or financially, to make that decision. So in this particular case, Petrangelo made a choice. He had the option to stay here. He could have remained a Blue. I mean, they put $64 million on the table. And he could have taken that contract, could have retired a Blue, and could have truly become one of the real true icons in Blues history.
He would have had 19 years or 20 years, right? An 8-year contract would have brought him 20 years in the franchise without being bought out.
And reached iconic status. Doug Armstrong's never bought out a player either. And believe me, he knows that. He's well aware of that, and I don't think that's an accident. So he doesn't negotiate too many bad contracts, and if they are, usually they're of the short-term variety. Now, Justin Falk, a lot of people are looking at that contract now. We're going to judge that, obviously, moving forward. Is he going to become a different player, a more confident player, a better player, a player that the Blues need him to be? Will he be better now that Petrangelo's not here? I think we're going to find that out.
Falk, 2020, baby.
Oh, I love Torrey Krug, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he brings a dynamic that the Blues don't really have on the back end. I mean, Vince Dunn probably is the closest thing. But when you look at Torrey Krug, I mean, let's be honest, there's elements to his game that he doesn't do as well as Petrangelo.
Yeah.
I would never pretend that he is Petrangelo. And who knows, the Blues may take a hit in the first handful of years in the deal. But I truly believe when I say this. I don't think the Blues were really comfortable taking on the risk of signing a 31-year-old player to an 8-year contract. They were willing to do it. I think it was a little uncomfortable. I think they were willing to do it because he was the captain, and we all know they won the Stanley Cup. And I don't think Petrangelo was ever comfortable signing the contract that they put on the table. So I never really believed that it was going to work. Do I think that it's upsetting to him that he had to leave? Yes. But I've also had conversations with Petrangelo where he recognizes the opportunity that he has for he and his family to go explore another city, to live in a different environment, to get out of his comfort zone, and to truly accept the challenge. We had that conversation. I tweeted that out that, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Who's to say I don't want to have a challenge?
Yeah.
That's not the first time he said that to me, and he should approach it that way.
Yeah.
He should approach it that way. And again, nobody in his situation would probably approach it any differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So how
with
was
you.
I wrong?
No, I agree with you. I'm not saying you were wrong. I never
said
said
I
you were
was.
wrong. No, I was giving you a hard time.
Oh.
I thought when it got low, like I thought when he came back without a contract,
Yeah.
he was coming back. There was a sense of me that thought
Okay.
maybe he was coming back.
I love that you brought that up because people close to Petrangelo had that same feel when he came back. He came back without a contract because they didn't put the contract on the table that I think he anticipated them putting on the table. Now, they eventually came up, and we all know with no state tax that his contract is closer to like $9.4 million per year.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, he made out great.
Yeah.
And the Blues couldn't get there. Everyone focuses on 8 versus 8.8. The reality is it's probably closer to 9.4. Okay? It's a lot of money, man. And he's going to do really, really well. They're obviously committed to winning in Vegas. Vegas, they look at every player, every free agent, they look at like they're like a little kid on Christmas, I say. They're like, every little player is like a shiny new little
Exactly.
I got to have this guy. I got to have that guy. I got to have me the new Petrangelo, you know? And so they're aggressive. And,
Maybe overly aggressive.
well, you know, hey, they sign guys to long-term contracts, and then all of a sudden they ship them out a year or two later. I think that upsets some people. But
he's got no move.
I would put a lot of money on the table that Alex Petrangelo, over the course of the life of this contract, he will win at least one more Stanley Cup. They're going to win another
man,
cup.
you don't want to say that.
Well, they will. Vegas will win one.
Really?
Oh my God, they're a pretty good team. Now, they're not great up the middle. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to take a little bit of a step back next year, even though people are going to have them as a Stanley Cup favorite and whatever. Because I think whenever you move out a guy like Nate Schmidt, who's one of the more popular players in the room, when you have a little bit of the drama that you have with Marc-Andre Fleury, who had been the face of the franchise, who every time he's asked to do something in the community, and he's been asked firsthand by the owner, who has asked him to, he never says no. And then all of a sudden, you know, there's rumors about a contract extension for Robin Lehner. He ends up signing the contract, gets a 5-year deal. There's rumors about Marc-Andre Fleury being moved out.
Who's going to take that contract?
You move out Paul Stastny, who is actually a more popular player in the room than people realize. Man, This guy's a veteran guy. I love Paul. I've known him for a long time. Obviously, he did a good job when he was here in St. Louis. So I think that creates a little bit of a fraction inside the dressing room. How they handle that, Ryan, that's going to be interesting to pay attention to.
For sure. I mean, I think Nate Schmidt's a hell of a player. Vancouver got a deal. I
Oh
mean,
my
a third-round
God.
pick for like what is he? He's a top 15 defenseman.
In the league?
Yeah, 20.
I
He's not horrible.
don't know if I'd say that high. He's one of those guys where it's kind of tough to categorize him in terms of where he ranks across the board.
Yeah.
But he's a player that would find his way in the top 4, top 5, pretty much virtually any team in the league.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I mean, if you give it that, he's top 30 guy.
Yeah.
And
Good
I
player,
just,
really
he's a really good player.
and a great personality.
I heard they loved him.
Oh my God. So you know how it is. Like, you've gotten to know some of the guys here in St. Louis. You know who the guys really like and who, whatever. You know how that goes. So you move out a guy who is super popular and whatever, and other players had their name dragged into trade rumors. I mean, from what I understand, and I talked to Petrangelo about this too. Guys were upset, and I said, what's that going to be like? Well, he's a professional. Alex has been around the block a time or two, and he's been in that situation.
Yeah.
He was here last year when they traded for Justin Falk.
Yeah.
Listen, Petrangelo's a pretty classy guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And he says the right things, and he's not going to ruffle any feathers.
But you thought that hurt him.
Oh, I know it did.
Yeah.
It wasn't about hurt. I just think it pissed him off more than anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, what's going on? He wants the contract. I think going back then, I don't think at that moment he was thinking he was going to play elsewhere. But what I mean is, once we got to about 2-3 weeks, a week before the beginning of free agency, in fact, he even went to the Canadian media with 3 weeks to go before UFA, sure. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to become a UFA." That's when the conversation started to happen. And I've talked to people who are really close, like his best friends.
Yeah.
In reference to like my tweet that I put out about he's ready for a new challenge. He admitted to me he's excited about a new challenge, and the idea of playing in another market and moving to another market is very intriguing to he and his family. Like his best friends are like, "Dude, you're absolutely right. There's no question about that." And of course, it's just human nature. Like you have to change your mindset at some point in time. People read into it the wrong way, as if like I'm trashing this guy on his way out of town. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I've known Alex Pietrangelo since he's 18 years of age, man. I'm in that room every single day. I would never do that, and I've always had good relationships with the players.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's just kind of keep it real. I mean, it is what it is.
Like keep it real.
Like this guy.
Just saying.
Like this guy, he's excited about a court. He has to mentally train himself to feel that way. And I know he did an interview today and whatever, and I've had private conversations with him, and he's admitted as such to me. He's got to be careful what he says publicly, of course, because he doesn't want to come across like he's bailing out on the city, bailing out on the organization, bailing out on his teammates. And I totally
he wants to
respect
live
that.
here, right? He's going to live here in the off-season, they're saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, his wife is from here. That's typically the way it works. Like you're a Southern California guy. Where's Rebecca from?
She's from California, but we
She
both
is?
live here. Yeah.
You both live here.
We call us home.
So when you marry a girl, like my wife is from St. Louis and whatever. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I grew up here in St. Louis, so my roots are here. And I went to college out west and whatever. But still, typically guys who marry St. Louis girls, they come back to St. Louis. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But you never know. I've talked to Trent. Who's to say they don't win 2-3 cups? Who's to say he doesn't become like an icon in Vegas? And all of a sudden,
Revo?
And all the guys who go out there, Revo being one of them, they love it there. I knew once he got on that plane, dude, he was not coming back.
He did come back though.
Meaning he wasn't, and the Blues knew that too, and I think that's why
they signed Krug.
Well, the arrangements for Pietrangelo to go to Vegas, that was already in the works prior to Krug officially becoming a member of the St. Louis Blues. So it wasn't like the Blues signed Krug and Pietrangelo's calling up Kelly McCrimmon, "Yo, Kelly, what up? I'm coming out to Vegas, baby. Let's go. Let's put that on paper." That wasn't happening.
Yeah.
That was already in the works beforehand.
Yeah.
He knew that. Now, was he – there's a lot of like talk about him being shocked and whatever. He knew the Blues were going to do something because obviously if you're not bringing back Petro, then you gotta fill a hole.
Yeah.
I think he was a little bit surprised who they got
and how quickly.
Because that's what Army does.
Yeah.
He's done this in the past.
He's shrewd.
Oh my God! Like not to go too far back, but even when like Chris Mason, Blues fans will remember who he was. One of my favorite people in hockey. Now does TV. Great job doing TV. He's a TV star over there in Smashville. He was negotiating with Doug Armstrong, and I think they offered like $3.25 million a year on like a 2 or 3 year deal. And I'm trying to remember. I was actually in Mexico when all this went down, and I think they wanted 3.75. So they're negotiating, and out of nowhere, Doug Armstrong, who had just taken over as GM, I believe, he goes and trades for Jarl Halak, who was like the big fish in Montreal at the time because he just went on this crazy run with the Montreal Canadiens, and he took them to the conference final. And not a whole lot of people knew his story or who he was at the time, but they also knew they had an up-and-coming like phenom in Carey Price, and they had to make the choice one or the other. The Blues inquired about both.
Yeah.
And they believed they would have taken Price.
Yeah.
But Montreal made the right decision in parting ways with Jarl Halak instead. So what I'm saying is, hey, you back Doug Armstrong up against the wall, dude. This guy, he's not going to get strong-armed, and he's going to go out and do what he has to do. And there were 3 defensemen in the open market who could play top 4 minutes. One being TJ Brody, who the Blues expressed a lot of interest in. He signed in Toronto. Different type of player than Krug in terms of how they play. Probably not as exciting of a pickup, although he's a good player. and then Torrey Krug and Alex Pietrangelo. Those were the three. So if you're not going to get Pietrangelo, you better make sure to replace him. And I think the Blues did a pretty good job of getting the next best guy.
Okay, we have any questions about Pietrangelo?
Nope. They just say, "Who's the kid behind Strickland?"
Oh, I thought they were calling me a kid.
I'm assuming that it's me.
That's
No,
you.
literally. I think it's me and Joel.
Oh,
in the
this.
picture.
Probably this
Are
little
they
thing.
saying that? Oh, I thought it was the picture.
No, it's probably
Because
this.
in the
Who
purple
is
jersey,
that?
I did look like a child.
Who is that little guy? Look at you guys got a lot of pictures. Of
I don't know.
Joel
It's Dave
Edmondson.
Cooper asking that, so you know.
Any other questions?
No, there's no questions. You haven't said, does anybody have a question?
Does anybody
I
have
think
a
everybody's
question
just
about
listening.
Alex Pietrangelo situation, or do you want Andy to give you some insight into anything? Let us know. Make your comments, and then we'll try to answer your
One
questions. if we
person
can.
said, great move for Petro. Great move for the Blues.
Yeah, I don't think it was a good
See,
hockey
like,
move.
listen, that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
It's great for Pietrangelo because he had an idea of what he wanted, and he got what he wanted. That's why you and I were going back and forth. You're like, well, the money's not that much. I mean, 8.8 versus 8. And I'm like, yeah, but like, look at all the signing bonus money he's getting. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know.
But why? I mean, I guess I don't really
I
understand.
know. Well, that the Blues don't either. Like, you're no different than – that's how they think.
Well, you
Like-
don't have 4 babies.
Well,
At home.
I was the
I'm just
youngest of
joking.
4.
We're about
I'm just
64
joking.
million.
I was the youngest of 4. We weren't making $8
I'm
million
just trying
a
to make
year.
sense
And
of it, too.
we had some, cornflakes on the table when I was a kid, even without making that much. But I think the Blues, they see it the same way. Like, it's just not how they do their business. Why do you need all that money up front? But there's a reason why. And for those of you who don't know, like, signing bonus money gives you protection. Say there's no season next year because of COVID, like there's a big outbreak or whatever, you're still paid your signing bonus money. Say, I know they just redid the collective bargaining agreement, but it's going to expire at some point over the course of his 7-year contract in Vegas, and say that all of a sudden there's a lockout. Well, nobody's getting paid during the lockout except those that have signing bonus money. Signing bonus money is guaranteed. So, I mean, there's some protection and there's some true value. And if you're Pietrangelo, you look at like other superstars around the league that have it. And Ryan O'Reilly has it here in St. Louis too. Braden Shen did. He doesn't have it in his new deal that he just extended, with St. Louis last year. Star players that want it, like Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, these guys in Toronto, they're getting like $15 million in signing bonus money. Like, it's crazy. But that's, again, what I said, like, and his agents, like, they're really good at what they do. I mean, they've been doing it for a long time. I don't love how they handle the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think maybe they mismanaged it a little bit because I thought that I think their agency should have done a better job in trying to keep Pietrangelo here. Like, I feel like they almost had like an escape plan. They knew he was going to go be a UFA. They love to be the center of attention on the first day of unrestricted free agency.
Of course.
They've done it in the past. They'd love to get a lot of that attention, and it didn't work out from that standpoint because of the pandemic and whatever. And he wasn't able to go, do this tour and visit all these teams because he couldn't cross the border and go into Canada. So he couldn't go visit Toronto, whatever, and just create all this, these headlines. I just wish that they would have looked at it and said, okay, let's go ahead and check off the boxes. How many yeses do we have? Okay, do you like living in St. Louis? Is your wife from St. Louis? Do you like the ice time you get? Do you like your role on the team? Are you the captain of the team? Did you just win a Stanley Cup? Do your kids like their school? Like, well, if you start going, yes, then I think, honestly, a lot of the agents, and I know a lot of these guys, and a lot of them are really, really good people, they would say, hey, man, you could be an iconic figure. You could have a statue out front. You could have your jersey retired. Who knows what it would look like if you stay. Why are we leaving? Why do you want to leave? I think it's in your best interest to stay. I think some other agents out there would potentially be able to work that through with Pietrangelo. But again, they chose not to. They had an idea. They truly identified, Ryan, what they wanted.
Yeah.
Truly identified what they wanted. They never veered away from that. And at the end of the day, they got it.
There's nothing else you can say. I mean, there was a certain level to me where it was like he wasn't going to go to Detroit. He wasn't going to go to Florida. He could have got more money. Maybe.
I feel like Florida may have come in. He won't tell me the other teams. He said they were talking to other teams.
Columbus.
I thought Columbus. I talked to their GM Jarmo Kekalainen, and he said they would not be going after Alex Pietrangelo, but like they cleared up all the space.
Yeah.
And when you consider Jarmo, the GM in Columbus, drafted Pietrangelo to St. Louis. Bradshaw, super respected assistant coach in Columbus. He and Pietrangelo are super, super tight, like really tight. And they both have a ton of respect for one another. So I was trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and I thought maybe, who knows, man? They've got the two studs there already in Seth Jones and Zach Werenski. And do they need Pietrangelo? Probably not. They probably need some, players up front, some goal scorers or whatever. So I was just, I don't know. Sometimes stuff like that happens. Like, wow, why did they do that? And then all of a sudden you kind of look into it and you see all the relationships and the history, and then it makes sense. But no, I don't think Columbus. Actually, I think Pietrangelo told me that Columbus never really expressed interest. I know Toronto did. I don't know how they were going to do it. They want all the shiny new toys too.
Yeah.
Toronto needs to win a playoff round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Any questions, baby?
Yes. Could Petro be the Knights' captain?
Oh.
Who is their captain?
God.
That's a good question.
Do they even have a captain? How come
They
I
may
don't?
not have one.
How come I don't know this? Let's look that up.
Is it Marshall?
No. But he is not going to be the captain. They have some guys who obviously have been there. Max Pacioretty has been a captain. From his time in Montreal. I want to say that I don't even know if they have a captain.
Who's going to be the captain here?
Max Pacioretty. He's the only Golden Knight who has been a captain. Now, let's see. Vegas going to name first captain. Man, now I gotta know who this is.
Stumped you on the first
You
question.
did, and I'm gonna look at it.
Good,
And
good job,
oh my
Michael
God,
J.
how did I not know this?
What's that?
I said, good job, Michael J.
Good job, Michael J.
Let's see.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's see. Las Vegas. It's vacant. They don't have a captain.
You don't think it could be Pietrangelo?
So
I mean,
maybe he could move in
I don't
there
think
and
they would give it
go.
to a player who just came in. When you consider they have some other guys that have been there.
Anybody there won the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, exactly. But anybody super qualified?
That's a good question. I mean, maybe Theodore. Who obviously is a hell of a player, defenseman. I mean, he was great during the playoffs this past year. Scored a ton of goals. He's nasty. I mean, he's just ridiculous in terms of how he plays. So underrated, honestly. Yeah. So I don't know. They've got some good players. I would think that Pietrangelo certainly would be part of the discussion.
So it's not a solid no.
Not a solid no, but I would, considering we're talking Vegas, we're putting money on it. I would not put money on Petro wearing the C in
what about you,
Vegas.
Ryan?
But he could maybe in year 2, 3, 4. Who knows?
What about you? You put money on?
No, I'm not. I'm not buying that.
Okay. All right.
Look, I just think it's hard for the new guy to come in, take the locker room,
Yes.
Oh yeah, you don't
control
want there to
that.
be
You
animosity.
see that?
because I think there's going to be some animosity, like we talked about.
Correct.
So I don't think they could just give him that.
Like going way back, Shane Corson, he was the captain of the Blues, and then they made the trade for Wayne Gretzky, and they gave it to Gretzky. So you see that happen occasionally.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Wayne Gretzky.
It's Wayne Gretzky.
What happens with Seattle and player movement?
Well, they have an expansion draft. And so, players obviously are teams next year. They're going to have to, just like with Vegas, you have your protected list and you have players who are unprotected. And those who are unprotected and who qualify are eligible to be selected by Seattle.
He better have a big year or he's going to be unprotected.
Well, I don't know if he could be because he has a no-move clause.
Really?
Oh, which is another thing that he got that he really wanted and that the Blues don't hand out. He wanted that no-move clause, which he has. And so he will not be eligible to be selected by Seattle. And there's no way in hell that Vegas would leave him unprotected either.
Okay. But what I'm saying is Falk better have a big year.
Oh, yes.
Or he's going to be unprotected. For sure. He may be unprotected because of his contract, irregardless of the year he has.
Could be. And you know what? The general manager there in Seattle, Ron Francis, is the former longtime GM of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Just don't. Yeah, you heard it first. What's the next question?
Brett here. Should more A1 players have opted for a Taylor Hall 1-year deal and played the market after COVID?
Ooh, let me just say this about Taylor Hall. And I know he's got some flash, and he's fast and whatever. Look at Arizona's record when he came on board. Like, not very good.
Yeah.
To me, he's not a winning player.
Did you talk to Dustin Keller about him?
I have not. Clayton Keller? No.
Or Clayton Keller about him?
No.
Yo, you did. You did because I could tell by the smirk.
No. I know he won at the junior level.
Yeah.
He won a couple of Memorial Cups, and like you think he was the MVP of a couple of those tournaments. And he's got dynamic speed. He's a former Hart Trophy winner. Like I actually thought Taylor Hall would be a good fit here because I think the Blues maybe could use a little bit of speed. I think Torrey Krug gives you some of that on the back end, but even up front, you know, like you wanna have, you know, some speed. Is that mine? That's not my phone.
No,
is it?
that's
okay.
mine.
Okay, fine.
That's your mom, Ryan.
Oh, my mom.
I hope she's
Vicky.
watching.
She
Does
is
have
for
a
sure
question?
watching.
Where is she?
She's for sure watching. She does all this stuff.
Is she in?
So who's going to wear the C in St. Louis?
Okay. So anyway, real quick before Taylor Hall.
Wait, they were asking about Taylor
I'm sorry,
Hall.
yeah.
What are you
So,
talking about?
I don't.
Ryan?
I know the new GM there really well. I don't think there was a lot of interest when they floated his name out there to if any team was interested in trading for his negotiating rights before free agency to be able to be the only team to be able to negotiate an extension with him. So I don't think he's looked upon by NHL teams and GMs in the same way that fans look at him, and his reputation should suggest how they look at him. He brings speed. To me,
I talked to a very good source,
yeah.
and the guy basically said he's coming there to score 1 year, score a whole bunch of goals with Eichel, go back on the market, and get a long-term deal.
And if they are bad, he'll get moved at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And they'll get a first-round pick back. But again, he kind of reminds me of Matt Duchene, who plays in Nashville. Really good player, skilled. But if you go watch their highlight reel. It's all individual plays.
Yeah.
Like not very creative with their teammates.
Do you think Tarasenko's worth $8 million?
When he's healthy, I think he's worth $10 million when he's healthy. Like I mean, in terms of his ability to score goals, like he can score goals at such a high level, such an elite level that most guys in the world just can't do, especially against NHL goaltenders.
So let's talk about that.
It's gotta
for a
be
second.
healthy,
Let's talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
Because I actually thought about this. So you're the Blues GM, you're Doug Armstrong.
Yeah.
And there's probably an opportunity right now, given all the teams' cap space, to move Tarasenko out. Maybe
teams don't have a lot of cap space because the cap.
Okay, let's talk about Yzerman.
Yeah.
In Detroit.
Yeah.
Could you move Tarasenko there? Would it be a good hockey move for the Blues? Clear up $8 million, $10 million over the course of that deal.
Well,
blow out $40 million or whatever's owed, and have that money to go spend on a good player.
I like what you're thinking, and these conversations probably happen all the time internally with the Blues, and especially with him. It's hard to trade an injured player.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
But Yzerman's aggressive. If you tie a pick to that, Yzerman's probably just going to say yes because he has nothing to give. There's no one who wants to go play there.
Maybe.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, I know. I like the way you're thinking, but I love the tank, man. I really do. You know, he's just not healthy. It's hard to watch great players who aren't capable of playing at their typical level because they're not healthy. And I just hope he gets healthy, man.
For sure.
Also, Jack Ryan asked, do you think the Blues need some new young guns?
Oh, I think we got plenty of young players. I think Robert Thomas is amazing. I think Kyrie's there. I don't think the Blues are in love with Kostin. His work ethic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're not that old. I mean, I don't think that's really –
I think the core of the team is actually right in that range of that 27 to 31 range.
And I think that's why Crew wanted to come here.
Yeah.
Because he's 28, 29.
Yeah.
And
I think the window is still there to win. I don't focus too much on what happened in the bubble.
He thinks Vegas is going to win. I think we're going to win. So.
Well, I'm just saying I think a lot of people will think Vegas is going to be – I had some people tell me, hey, if they get Petro before he signed there, they're going to win the cup. You know, and listen, they're not very good up the middle though. Like they've got good players.
You like Leonard?
Like who?
Leonard?
Robin Leonard, yeah, but he just had shoulder surgery too, so he knows how he's going to bounce back. How healthy he's going to be. You know, we don't know how many games there are going to be. We don't know when the season's going to start. Vegas is going to be very good. They got a lot of talent.
Yeah,
up
sure.
and down that roster. There's no question.
What else we got, baby?
Do you know what the Tarasenko Molina bobblehead set is worth?
Ryan does.
I don't know, 120 to 150.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. Dave Cooper just has a comment. It's
We'll buy it. We'll buy it here
No, we're not buying
for
it.
$30.
Yeah, and we'll sell it. We'll flip it.
Yes, and we'll sell it.
Yeah.
We'll have like a TV show. What do they call it? Like Pawn Stars, whatever.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to Supermarket Sweeps coming back. I think it's Sunday. I think it comes back Sunday. Yeah.
Do you know that?
Did you watch that as a kid? Well,
Oh my God, that's the old.
Where they
school
push the
show? I
cart.
thought you meant like
and they
guys,
put the turkeys
guys
in?
grocery games, whatever.
No,
They put,
this
like,
coming
diapers
back.
in there.
Ridiculous
And it's
show.
the lady from Saturday Night Live
Yes.
is the host.
Who?
The
Tina Fey?
no, the African American girl. What's her name?
Why can't I think of her name? Leslie Jones.
Leslie
Oh,
Jones.
she's
Oh, it's
funny,
gonna be great.
Oh,
She's so funny.
That's just gonna be a great. show.
Oh yeah, no, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
so Dave Cooper says you can't leave your bosses waiting, so they wanted to pick up a high number free agent instead of a bottom barrel player. Agree with that?
I mean,
Who are you talking about?
he's
Are they talking
you
about
can't-
Petrangelo?
Yeah,
Like
they're talking about
leaving them
Oh,
Petrangelo.
they're
waiting?
going on getting crew.
You can't just
Yeah,
go
like,
out
you
and
can't
get.
leave
You
your
can't go get
bosses
a.
waiting,
You don't want to keep
they
them waiting and
kinda-
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
They
Armstrong's
had
not
to.
gonna wait.
He won't.
Would it be? This is a pretty
He's so
interesting
proactive.
question.
Yes, the word. Yes.
He said, Michael J says, would it be acceptable or untasteful if Falk switched to number 27 next season? Was he number 27,
Oh my
I guess,
God.
on his last team?
Oh, yeah, he was 27 in Colorado
Carolina.
Okay, so what do you
or
think?
Carolina. I'm sorry.
Oh my
Judging
God.
by the look on your guys' faces, I think it's untasteful.
Could you imagine? Listen, I don't think
Or do you think it'd be back?
I don't think the Blues would let that happen. You know, like a lot of
I think
times,
it's a PR issue.
a lot of times with these, and I don't think, God, man, you just never know. Like sometimes a player, and let's not forget Justin Falk. He's been around for a little while. He's 3-time All-Star. I mean, he's not
Would he even
Petrangelo or
ask
whatever.
them?
I would if I were him.
Knowing him?
If I were him
Never
and I
met.
was like, I need my number for me to feel good and to play better, I want my number back. I would 1,000% ask
Petrangelo went to 7. He's not going to do 27 in Vegas.
because
Oh, wow.
they have Theodore there.
Oh, okay. All right.
I call him Theodore. I don't remember if it's Theodore.
He's really good.
See how I say
And
it.
then Grant's asking, I think you had already asked this, but maybe you guys didn't answer it. Who will wear the C next
He's going to wear the
season?
C.
Okay. I always like to say there's a couple of options
Mhm.
because I want to like give the credibility to guys like Braden Shen.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, Pareko probably wouldn't, you know, but he's a guy who's a veteran guy, who's a really good player, and certainly, you know, deserves to be in that conversation. But like Shen,
I've heard Steen a lot. His name
Steen's
gets
got
thrown
1 year
around.
left in his deal, a little banged up. If he was a little bit younger,
You think he's going to come back? Or do you think he's just.
I think he's trying to come back for sure. You know, if he's healthy, and you hope he's able to be healthy enough to come back and
Yeah.
play, and certainly be a presence off the ice too, man. You know, he's got 1 more year left on his deal. But I think the obvious choice and the most likely scenario is Ryan O'Reilly. I mean, he is such a good person.
In the face of the franchise.
He's the face of the franchise. He's won league awards. He's a great player. He's a true, legitimate superstar of the NHL. He treats his teammates the right way. He treats the media the right way. His relationship with the coaches, his relationship with the fans, his relationship with the community. This guy walks the walk. He's got a legitimate heart in terms of how he cares about people. The work ethic that he brings to the rink every single day.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
influence he has on younger players, veteran players, every day, man. I've never seen anybody do what he does, honestly. Like,
And we got him for Saboka, J.H. Thompson, and a first-round pick.
and Bergie.
And Bergie.
And I love Bergie.
Bergie.
That's my boy.
Jack Ryan says totally not Blues related, but I was wondering what Ryan thought about Bob Gibson passing.
Oh,
Ooh. You remember him?
yeah. Well, I spent time with him.
Give it talk to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
Tell
Ryan
me
has
about
pictures
this.
of him.
So it's
Winter
funny
Warm
because it's not funny.
together.
I've taken pictures with him, and like he would never smile. Like he didn't like pictures. So you would do a signing with him, and you say, "Oh, can I get a photo with you?"
And
Obviously,
he's not like a super warm and fuzzy.
he's not super warm for you, but he let you know where you stood all the time. If he liked you, he liked you,
Mhm.
and if he didn't like you, you kind of knew, right? So I always felt like he really, really, him and I were fine. Like we were good. Like, and so this one time I take a picture with him, and he smiles, and I'm thinking this is the greatest thing in the world. Like I literally was like a kid in a candy store that day. I literally remember just thinking, "Oh my God, he smiled for me," and he was such a great. You know what the thing about him? People don't really appreciate how great he was. like if you look at his numbers, he was phenomenal.
No,
And
no
like,
question.
and people have no idea of like his greatness as a player. I mean, what he did as a pitcher, I mean, he laughed at the way pitchers are treated these days. He like just literally said it's just
The
ridiculous.
fact that they only go in for one.
Like, I mean,
No, he's just
he like,
toughness,
I mean,
pure
his,
toughness.
I mean, the amount of complete
Competitiveness.
games and the amount of competitiveness
Yeah.
and his, and like
Like,
he didn't
complete
give
games
two
is what
shits
got
about
me.
anyone. He would throw at your head. He didn't care. So I love the guy. I was really sad for his passing. I obviously had some insight into what was going on with his life, and I was, very, very sad.
When you grow up here and like, part of not even being a sports fan, but part of like living here is like the Cardinals are such a big part of it,
Mhm.
and opening day is such a big part of it.
Yeah.
And the history of the Cardinals is such a big part of the city, and the experience of living here, and seeing all these guys in their red jackets on opening day is one of those days where you have to be in front of a television if you're not there at the game,
For sure.
because
It's like
you
a
want to
holiday
see
almost.
that introduction.
Yeah.
You want to see Lou Brock. You want to see Bob Gibson. You want to see Ozzie Smith.
Red Shane Dees.
Red Shane
He's one of my
Dees, Whitey
favorites.
Herzog, Tony La Russa. I mean, these are the true, like, iconic names and figures that make Cardinal baseball what it is. And the fact that a whole generation and generations, future generations are going to grow up and never experience that, honestly, it almost breaks my heart a little bit. Like that my kids are not going to like truly understand who these, how big it's damn usual, man. I mean, come on, like it doesn't get any bigger than that. That they're not going to be able to experience what we experienced growing up.
2020 sucks. I mean, it took two of our red jackets away. It's terrible.
Best AHL pipeline: Milwaukee Admirals or Rockford Ice Hogs.
That's your deal.
I mean, I will sound like the biggest loser if I like start rattling it off. Who's on these two?
Why would you be the biggest?
No.
loser? You're educated.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't
I'm
have
like,
any idea.
They're like Cam Jansen, who I do the podcast, if he was like, if you know this, best pipeline, man. Great question. Nashville versus Chicago. I would have to honestly look and compare it side by side, see what prospects are there. I will say that both franchises have done a pretty good job over the course of recent years of developing players.
Yeah.
And Chicago certainly has done a great job with Rockford. Nashville's done a great job with Milwaukee. Paul Fenton was a big part of that before he left to be the GM of the Minnesota Wild, which didn't work out. But, for years, Milwaukee had a reputation of developing great young talent. And Rockford has still done that as well. I look at Chicago as probably a younger team, even though they have some true vets there and obviously some iconic names. So I'll go with Rockford.
And some unhappiness right now.
Yeah, man.
It
Could you
was-
imagine?
Rockford.
Well, Jonathan Taves is pissed. Like,
Kane's pissed, but he won't talk because he's got,
hey, man, like when their boys, like who they've come up with, who have been a big part of their championship teams,
gets traded for nothing.
and
Basically.
they get traded.
Yeah, it's sad.
And I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I just feel like not everybody, but I think certain athletes deserve the respect with their organizations to be kind of like consulted and given a heads up on what the organization is thinking. And I think they were told one thing, and by the actions of what's happening, they look at it as the organization is doing the opposite of what maybe they were told personally. But I think they should be consulted. But I will say this. Jonathan Taves, he's upset about Corey Crawford moving on, whatever, who signed in New Jersey. I think Corey Crawford's best days are behind him. I still think he's a good goaltender. He's still capable of having a great game, a great week, maybe even a great month. Do I truly have faith in him of carrying the Blackhawks and having a long playoff run? I just don't think that's who he is anymore.
Yeah. Well, they need to get back. I mean, he's got to get back to what he was.
He does.
But
But that's why you have management. That's why you have players. But management, there's a disconnect there in Chicago.
that's good for us. Last thing,
So
because we
Dave-
got to wrap this up. We've been
Okay.
we've gone
Okay, well,
longer.
there's two more questions. Okay, so what do you think of pairing Nikola and Krug?
Okay, so Nico Mikkola is a big prospect
I
defenseman
like him.
on the all-name team for sure. Like, I mean, Nico Mikola. Could you imagine like being that competitive with Nico Mikola? How cool
He's
is
so
that?
nice.
Such a nice guy.
I know. Yeah, don't you think all the hockey players are nice, like for the most part, or maybe not?
I love him.
You do.
I don't.
Were you a
know.
hockey? Were you guys a hockey? She loves the hockey player. Were you guys a hockey? Were you hockey fans before you, like in California? Were you hockey fans?
So it's amazing to us because I've been doing this a long time, and my first ever Blues signing was Ryan Reeves,
Really?
and I told him at the game like he came in and I was like, I don't really give two shits about your game. I just think you're fun to watch.
Well, you've never been to a hockey.
Like I had never been to a hockey game
at that time.
at that time. This was only like 7 years ago. 7 years ago. And he said, okay, well, you can come to the game on my tickets.
How'd you reach out to him?
No, he came to my.
He came for
a
like
signing.
a signing. I
Yeah.
got you. I got you.
And he was like, well, if you've never been to a hockey game, you can have my tickets. So you
Yeah.
can come.
Oh, great.
So I went, and he goes, I'm gonna kick someone's ass for you tonight. So be ready, because that's what I do or whatever. It was like a really cool
so
conversation.
He said that.
So literally, I go to the game, my first ever Blues game.
And did you know he was a tough guy? Like,
I knew a little bit, but I didn't know anything about this.
okay.
I said, I can't root for a bunch of people I don't know how to pronounce their name. That's what you heard all the time 7 years ago, right? I'm like, I don't know their names. I don't really understand what's going on. Now I know every guy that was drafted. I knew everything. But anyway, so I go to the game, and literally, he starts kicking the shit out of this dude. And then goes like this and points at me.
No.
Yeah, this is a true story. 100%. 100%. And we've been boys ever since.
Really?
Yes.
That's who turned
He
him on to
pointed
hockey.
at
He
you.
pointed at me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We're super tight.
He's such a good dude.
Yeah, if
I
it was
love
a
that.
Borrego,
Such a
who
good
knows if he'd be.
Um,
You're like,
I
you
thought
get
when he
paid
got
to kick
traded-
people's asses?
to Pittsburgh.
Tears. I was sitting right in our other store in the chair. I was ecstatic
I thought
about
someone died.
Laterra. Terrible.
You didn't know how good Sunquist would be either.
No, I didn't know. But I love him now. But
You know, my last show that I did here because my last radio show I did here was like the day like the world stopped. It was March.
Probably like
It was March. It was March 12th.
oh wow.
Yeah.
And like I was here, and like the world like stopped. Hockey was like all of a sudden
wow.
being professional sport. And Oscar Sundquist, his wife was in here
Yeah, it
with
happens all
like
the time.
with like their friends and whatever.
Pareko was here
Yeah, I
today.
was gonna say,
Right.
I know she was in here with her mom.
Like
before
shopping.
It happened.
Yeah, it happens.
Was Pareko here doing business, or he's just like,
I don't want to talk about that.
or was he just like shopping, looking for like a
No.
new decal? For
It was
his
a whole
car or
different guy. I
He
don't
wasn't
drop names
shopping
like
here.
that.
He's looking for like a Deion Sanders.
We were
signed
hanging
helmet.
out. We were hanging out. Let's just
Okay.
say that.
All right.
All right, we got to wrap
So
this
hang on,
up.
with the
so-
flat cap
so-
moving forward with the foreseeable future, how confident are you with Bennington signing with the Blues long term
Well,
after
yeah,
the 2021
it's a
season?
big year for Jordan Bennington. He and Justin Falk, two most important players on this roster.
You heard it.
100%.
Nico Mikola, he's an NHL defenseman. They want to get him in the NHL. It's going to be interesting to see how they make that happen.
Do you think
Well,
they could pair him and Krug to be a good pairing?
I don't know. I feel like Krug. And Falk are going to find their way in the top four. And if you have Scandella and Pareko, I think that makes your top four. But you know what? As you guys know, everybody tends to play with everybody.
Yeah.
And you've got Bortuzzo, you've got Gunnarsson, you've got Dunn, you've got a lot of guys who obviously are still here and are going to find ways to move up and down the lineup. But I like Nico Mikola. The organization likes him a lot too.
All right, well, we got a couple of things. Hat just dropped. Hockey Fights Cancer hat just literally landed like an hour ago.
Love it.
Yep.
That's pretty nice,
Still
right?
put it.
That is nice.
We'll have that on the website today. Memorial Day jerseys, or they don't call this Memorial Day anymore. It's Armed Forces Service Day or something now, because they want all of them to be represented.
Well, it was veterans.
It's Veterans Day, and now it's Armed Forces
Yes.
Appreciation or something. So this dropped, and then that had to go with it with the little thing.
I
We'll have
like that. I
Occupants
like
Cancer
that.
beanies. but-
And it's lightweight, so you're not going to sweat.
No, it's pretty sick. I like that.
All right, 3 things drop. That's our show. We're going to do this every Wednesday. Me and Andy getting together, and this is fun. What do you think?
It was
First one?
fun. Oh, easy, man.
Yeah.
I hope there's some breaking news next week. It'll be this easy every week. We
Oh,
just
we'll
talk
find
about some big headline story.
We'll always have a headline story.
I know.
Yeah, we'll have something. All right. Thank you guys for everything. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay. Good job, man.
That was good.
Yeah.